Welcome back to What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur. I'm Vincent Lanci, speaker and author of the book Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption. Want to know what it's really like to be an entrepreneur? Well, you came to the right place. Whether you're already an entrepreneur, or looking to start your journey tomorrow, or someone who just needs a little extra motivation to get through the day, this is the perfect podcast for you. This is where you will learn exactly what it's like in the world of entrepreneurship and hear real-life, authentic stories of entrepreneurs grinding on each episode. My goal for this podcast is to help you realize that giving up is never an option. If you missed last week's episode, be sure to download it after you tune in today. My guest on the show this week is a true entrepreneur and someone who stays grounding around the clock. Grinding, grinding, grinding. She has taken her passion by the horns and leveraged it with social media to create a huge following. I'm proud to call her a friend, and she has a great story to share. I'm excited for you to step in her shoes and learn a ton from her today. Let me introduce Courtney Hartmann.
Hi, Vinny.
Hi, Courtney.
How
Thanks
you
for coming
doing?
on.
How you doing?
Why don't you share a little bit about your story and what you have going on today?
Sure. Okay, so first, thanks for even asking me to be on your podcast. It's crazy because, yeah, I guess I am an entrepreneur, but I don't ever consider myself one, because my story, I mean, it happened on accident, honestly. Oh gosh, how far back do I even go? But I guess, when I had first started my fitness journey, and obviously my career and business is coaching women through fitness and nutrition. So when I first started, like, getting used to the gym and started falling in love with like working out and just being able to like fuel myself, in the best way, I started the social media account. I started an Instagram account. Instagram was new. It was like 2013, 14-ish. And I started it just to kind of hold myself accountable. And I would post a lot of the foods that I ate. And I had everybody that I knew in real life blocked. Like everybody from high school, everybody from college, in my sorority, whatever it was, they were blocked and no one could see it. And it was really just for me. But eventually my sister called on and she was like, I see you taking pictures for Instagram, but they're not on your, like, my real account or whatever. So she figured it out, and so I unblocked her, and eventually, like, I just started unblocking people because it had become such a big part of my life. And after that, I mean, I have just been, consistent, I guess, with posting about what it is I'm doing in terms of fitness and my goals and how I work my way up to get there and give other people tips and, tricks to try and simplify the whole fitness, healthy, like, nutrition world out there. And I guess people just caught on and for some reason like to hear me talk. So now it is how I kind of run my business, acquire clients to work with and help. And it happened all by accident. I never intended for it, but it was the perfect accident, I suppose.
Yeah, well, now you're killing it, Courtney. And something I do each episode is that I inspire our listeners by sharing a motivating path of entrepreneurship from someone in the spotlight. And I found a great article in Inc. on Amy Errett. Errett started out her professional career in the investment banking field, but she saw an entrepreneurial activity appear, and she decided to run with it. It all started one day when her wife asked her to pick up a box of hair dye. She began looking at the ingredients that was going into somebody's hair and was not only disgusted, but she took action almost right away. She started the company Madison Reed as a direct-to-consumer sales company in 2014 with a hair dye product free of parabens and ammonia. Only 2 years ago did the company broaden its business model past online sales to a full network of color bars that now features stylists, and she went from that little idea to now raising $121 million in funding and plans to have 500 color bars within the next 4 years. Yeah, have you ever heard of her story before?
I recently heard of it, so it's crazy that you said that. It was like on the radio down here recently. I don't remember why or what, but I do. I remember hearing that story, and it had to do with color dye, so it has to be the same person.
Yeah, I always learn something each time I look that stuff up, so I like to share it with everybody else. But now we go into the big five, Courtney. Each week, my guest and I go over these 5 questions to help the listeners learn what it's really like to be an entrepreneur. So let's get started. And when did you first realize that you weren't happy with what you were doing or you needed a change? I know you said it was an accident, but can you get a little bit into that?
Yeah, totally. So, right. I never really meant to like start a business or anything really. I was really just sharing my journey and kind of trying to help others with theirs. But actually, when I first began my Instagram account, I was in college, and I had originally gone off to college, and I was studying pharmacy. I always just loved like math and science and numbers and things like that. So I was like, oh, I'll go to school for pharmacy. I don't know what else to do, you know? And it was good. Like the actual schooling and the classes I took were interesting. I did enjoy it, but I was also working in a pharmacy at the time as a technician, and I just remember like standing back and I was like, I don't think I could do this for my life. Just like count pills all day. I just can't do it. Like, as interesting as it is, I mean, I'm losing my mind back here. So I kind of knew that like pharmacy wasn't going to be for me, but it was also really scary to switch because, you know, everybody is telling you how set you'll be with a job and this and that when you come out graduating with a PhD in pharmacy, like all this stuff. So I was like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. But I continued to do, you know, fitness and nutrition and study things on my own and just take certifications and just like learn about it like outside of school. And one day I just decided to look up other nutrition degrees, you know, where I could get a degree in nutrition because that's what I wanted to study. That's where like my passion is, I guess. And the school I was at like it didn't offer nutrition at all, so I knew I had to transfer if I wanted to make this, you know, a thing.
Right.
I just like after class one day drove to the school that I ended up graduating from, that I transferred to. It was, you know, it was on the way home, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go and apply. And I didn't tell my parents or anything until like after the fact. And I was just like, I just need to do what is going to make me happy. You know, like maybe I won't make that much money as opposed to being a pharmacist, but right now I don't care. I just want to do what I know I love. So I made that switch, and I worked in different fields. You know, I worked as a personal trainer. I worked as a nutritionist in a couple personal training studios and things like that. And I don't know, man. I had already kind of been coaching people on the side, a little side hustle because I was in school, you know, and I just always remember going to work and wanting to come home and like attend to my clients that I had online through my Instagram. I was just always looking forward to it. Like the connections I had with them and the way that I was helping them, it was just so different than what I was doing, like, you know, in real life, I guess. So I don't know, eventually I just was like, I'm just gonna make this work. And I didn't really have a game plan for it. I just was continuing to do what I did and continue to get clients, you know, now, and it has become my full-time thing. So yeah, you know, it was a little bit of a risk to take, but I think everybody has to make that risk if they want to, you know, do something that they know is going to like fulfill them.
I know a lot of people are going to resonate with that story, having to make that switch that are listening. What are one or two of the most difficult parts, if you had to pick only two, of being an entrepreneur?
Gosh. For me personally, I think one of the hardest things was, you know, especially for the age that I was at, you know, I was like, you know, it was only been a couple years maybe. So I was only still in my early 20s, but whatever, you know. And so I was still living at home with my parents, and because my personal business was like online based, you know, I don't have like a storefront and a place to go to work every day. I always got backlash from my parents, like, what are you doing? You're just sitting at home on your computer, like, get a job, you know? And I'm like, I have a job, like, that is what I'm doing, you know? But they would make me feel kind of insecure about it, and they would obviously tell me all the what ifs, like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And, you know, what are you going to do about a 401k? And all these, like, things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, but all I do know is this is what I want to do. So please, like, let me do it. That was definitely the hardest part. And, you know, and just other people like in your family and friends, like kind of.
I think it's that generation that our parents' time where they, you know, that.
Yes, exactly.
You go, you work 30 years, you get a pension, you move on. That's it.
Yes. And that's
the only option.
Essentially what my dad did. My dad has a pension and all this. And so, you know, and I think that is definitely the hardest part, is like just taking or listening to like the opinions and thoughts of others who want you to be stable and secure and successful. Like, they care, which is why they're saying it, but at the same time, like, you kind of just have to say screw it and do it, because if there's something that, okay, so the thing that I realized is that if there's something you want to do, you have to do it, because you will never stop thinking about it. So you just have to do it.
That's how I look at it as well. That's why I
Yeah.
made the
And
full-time
then
commitment.
totally. No, I totally agree. I think, however, the second hardest thing, okay, well, all right, 2.5. So the second real thing is like just comparing yourself to everybody else. Everybody else who has the relatively same like business as you, maybe, and they might have started 4 years ago. So they're that far ahead of you, but it's so easy on social media to just be like, well, why am I not there? Like, why am I not doing this? Why don't I have this many followers or this many clients or make this much money? And I think it's important to just like remember that your life is your life. Like, you have to stay in your own lane and always remember like what you're doing, and not get lost in that whole comparison game. And then 2.5 is just figuring out all the finances when you work for yourself, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Amen. No one's telling you what to do or just saying,
No,
give me
that's the thing.
$100 and I'll put it in
That
your
stuff in
retirement fund.
school.
You gotta go to the bank yourself. If you had to pick one of your greatest failures,
Oh,
and what was it and what did it teach you? Why is it so memorable?
oh, one of my greatest failures. All right, so when I had to think about it for a second, and I don't even know why, because this is something that happened and it like scarred me, and I'll never do it again. But
Let's
so
hear
I
it.
had first started coaching people. I was trying to figure out the best way to go about it. I didn't really know how I wanted to run my coaching business and this and that, but I kind of figured it out, and I was super excited. And so I had been getting, some clients and like inquiries and things like that, and I never wanted to turn somebody away. I was like, I will help you. I know I can help you. And it was true. I wasn't like lying. I knew I could help that person, but then all of a sudden I was like, damn, I have like 10 clients, which is more than I ever had at the time when I started. I was like, damn, 10 clients, like I can't, like I was so overwhelmed with the amount of like people and work I had to put, together. And I also, I wasn't very experienced with like running a business. Like, I could coach
Right,
things,
right.
but the business part was hard. And so, however many clients you have, I mean, you have to deliver 110% to them all the time. So I just remember getting this message from like one of the girls that I was coaching at the time. And she was like, I just feel like, I haven't been given like the proper attention, or, something along those lines. And it just like crushed my heart and soul. And I was like, I didn't mean to do that. Like, it was so bad, and I felt so bad about it. So now, I will, now I have like a wait list, so that when I do have open spots, I can take more clients and not obviously put myself into that,
Pretty
that
smart idea. Yeah.
yeah, that was, oh God, it made me feel so bad. That was the worst.
That's a good story. That's a good failure to share with everybody. Thank you. If you could choose to have a conversation, though, Courtney, and learn from any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who would it be and what are you talking about?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know what entrepreneur. Oh, I follow so many people. Well, not so many. That's a little bit of a exaggeration. But I follow a good, handful of entrepreneurs on Instagram who really like started their business through Instagram, kind of like I did. I mean, there's so many influential people. Like, there's this girl, Amanda Bucci, who I think is, well, she is super successful with her own entrepreneur. And I followed her like back in the day, and like when we were both like doing fitness, and well, I'm still doing fitness, but like competing and, being all wrapped up in the fitness world. And then she kind of shifted gears and became this, business coach, because she started like a fitness business, and was very successful with it, and now coaches
Right.
other people how to make their own businesses. And I don't know, I think it's super cool. I would love to pick her brain, where I think we're like the same age, and honestly, like, just being able to like follow her journey like kind of inspires me to like, keep on going with it.
Well, we'll share this episode with her when we air it for sure then.
Maybe she'll hit me up in the DM.
Of course she will. Courtney, if we have to look into the future, Where do you see yourself in these entrepreneurial endeavors from 1 year from now and also 5 years from now? Let's start with 1 year from now.
All right, so 1 year from now, be the end of 2020, which is pretty exciting. I want to have like I can see myself having just more of like a straight kind of clear path with the direction I want to take my Instagram. Right now, I focus just on like health and fitness, like overall, and
Mhm.
give people tips for training and people tips for nutrition and, this, that, the other thing. But I really want to hone in on nutrition. I have my degree, my bachelor's of science in nutrition, and I love nutrition. It's what like got me started with everything. So I plan to start releasing some like, either like makeshift like recipe videos or just talking more about like actual nutrition topics in depth. So I'm super excited to kind of bring that to life in the
That's
next year, of course.
that's awesome. So what about 5? Fast forward a little more.
5 years from now, I want to just have this, and I already do on a small scale, but I want to continue to grow it and just have this community, I suppose, of women who either I've worked with or just like have impacted or helped in some way or another. Like, all like in one place, just as like a big old happy family. And it is. It's already kind of getting started. I have a small little
You
group,
should have a community, maybe a website community of some sort.
like your own little
So
tribe and community of people who trust you and believe in you and want to learn from you. So I already have it on a small scale, but I'm looking to, just make a bigger impact, I think, meet more people, help more people, and hopefully I can put together like a big event for everybody. That's my goal.
I'm looking forward to hearing all that. Thanks for joining us today, Courtney. I know everybody's going to see the value you gave us. I love the stories, how you related it to everybody with having to manage your own money and having no guidance, having to, your parents not really, not believe in you, but want the best for you and wanted a more safe route. I think that's a lot of people. But it's time for the last word, Courtney. Is there something you want to share with everybody you didn't have time to say with today?
Like, all right. Yeah, like I said earlier, I think that if there's something in your life that you're kind of thinking about and you're like, God, I really want to do that. I wish I could do that. Whatever it is, find a way to figure it out and just freaking do it because you will never stop thinking about it and you'll always wonder what if. And I think wondering what if is worse than trying and failing. So that's my last word. Just do it.
Love it. Thanks, Courtney. Can you share your social media, website, or any ways for our listeners to follow you, maybe get on board with what you're doing, all this exciting stuff you have planned for the future?
Yeah. So I'm most active on Instagram. My Instagram account is Courto, COURTO_3. And then on my Instagram profile is a link which will take you to like my website and everything that I offer in terms of coaching and things like that. So that's like your one place, one stop shopping right there.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Everybody, you can check out the show on Instagram at your favorite morning podcast and on Twitter at PodcastsByLanci. My handles are at Vincent A. Lanci on all social media and YouTube, and my website is vincentalanci.com. Make sure to grab my book, Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption on Amazon, and DM me. Let me know what you think. If you really enjoyed today's episode, please continue listening and rate What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur 5 stars. I work really hard to find value delivering stories for you on each episode. As always, I will end the show with the quote that inspired me, and I know it will for you all too. Each day provides its own gifts. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of What It Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur.